We are live with Lunch Break Live. Chef Liz, take it away.
Hey, you guys. Thank you for having me today. We're making tamales and we're veganizing them.
Let's get cooking.
We're going to learn so much today, you guys. I love this machine right here. It's my KitchenAid. And we're going to get it started right away by putting the power on and adding some ingredients to make masa from scratch. Now, you can buy masa ready-made, but it's usually GMO corn and it's made with a vegetable shortening. So we're making the deluxe version today with organic masa harina from Bob's Red Mill. Then I add a little bit of seasoning to it, some cumin, a little bit of baking powder actually helps to fluff up the masa. And a pinch of pink salt goes in there. And then the magic ingredient, we're going to put some avocado oil. Most tamales, traditional tamales, are made with manteca de puerco, which is pork lard. So what we're going to do instead is add some avocado oil today. So before I do that, though, I've got my vegan chicken broth already measured out. So I'm going to pour that in there so I can reuse that measuring cup. It takes about 3.5 cups of broth. You can use vegetable broth or you can use a vegan chicken broth, which is more and more available all the time. And right here, it says vegetarian, but I checked out the ingredients. It's vegan and it's a no chicken broth. And we're going to make some no chicken to go in these tamales too. Really fun. So instead of the manteca de puerco, I'm using a cholesterol-free organic avocado oil. And it's about 3/4 of a cup of oil. Now, this food is not going to be a fan favorite if you're on a fat-free diet, but tamales are a treat. And if you just have one once in a while, I think it's going to be okay. They're a treat. They're a treat. And of course, good for family celebrations and holidays. They make great gifts from the kitchen. Hey, and there's somebody out there that might even be interested in making tamales to sell, perhaps. Or go visit your local Mexican restaurant and ask them to start making some vegan tamales and tell them you got the recipe. So I'm whipping up my masa. Traditionally, they would whip up the lard with the baking soda and then put the masa harina in and stir it up until it's like a thick consistency of about peanut butter. So I'm gonna, if it's a little too moist, you can add a little extra masa harina, or if it's too dry, you add a little more broth. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a bit more in here, again, until it's about the consistency of peanut butter. So masa harina, I found it at Whole Foods Health Press. A lot of co-op stores like Sprouts, they sell it in the bulk section, so that's a good idea to try those. So that's all there is to making homemade masa. Like I said, you can get this masa at, you can buy ready-made masa at some of your Mexican mercados, they sell it. And some Mexican restaurants will actually sell you their masa as well. But it's made with vegetable shortening and it's made with GMO corn. So today we're going to fancy it up with some organic masa and some avocado oil. Next, we've got to make the fillings for our tamale. So I've got this, check. We got their masa already made. And in advance, I have soaked the corn husks so that we have soft, pliable corn husks to work with. And then I tore some little pieces to tie them with. You can Google tamales and find all kinds of pretty packages and different ways to roll them and tie them. It's a fun little creative project, and it makes a beautiful gift from the kitchen. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the chicken that goes into this tamale. And I'm going to give you all a little advanced lesson in tofu and how tofu takes the place of chicken. So I have a couple of brands with me just to show you the difference. First of all, this is the brand that you find everywhere. It's in almost every market. You can find tofu, even in some of the strangest places. This tofu will show up. And it's a softer tofu. This tofu I say is best maybe as a dairy or egg substitute because it needs to be pressed. And what I'm going to do, whoops, I've got a tofu press with me right now, and I'm going to press this tofu while we're making tamales, and we're going to see how much water comes out of this block of tofu. So if you're buying tofu at most major grocery stores, they carry this brand, and you want to have a tofu press to squeeze the excess water out of it to make it best for give you the best quality product. So I bought this one from the fabulous Spork sisters up in Hollywood. I was at their culinary loft a couple of years ago, and they sold me a tofu press. And I thought, why would I want a tofu press? The tofu I love doesn't even require being pressed. But I found out later that so much of the tofu that we buy it's made with calcium sulfate, and it needs to be pressed. The water needs to be pressed. So this is the advanced class on tofu. To make a chicken-like tofu, you need a firmer tofu. If I did the drop test with that block of tofu and I dropped it from up high, it would splatter when it hit the surface. This tofu is curdled with something else. Whoops, the last one was curdled with calcium sulfate, which makes a water volume loaded tofu. This one is made with the minerals from sea salt called nigari, and it is a firm tofu that's like a block of cheese. So it comes in two different forms. This one is a mix. It actually has a little bit of the calcium sulfate and the other curdling agent, but it's vacuum packed and it's solid and it makes great chicken. So we're going to try this one, but also if you are lucky enough to find San Diego soy dairy tofu, this tofu rocks because it doesn't need to be pressed and it's solid. If you did the drop test and you plunked it down, it would bounce like a ball. It's also higher in protein because it's higher in volume by soy. So the ingredients again are just soy milk and the curdling agent, which is a mineral from sea salt called magnesium chloride. So that's a little advanced tofu lesson today. You see how thick this block is? It would bounce if we dropped it. So every city should have a soy dairy. This is San Diego soy dairy. And you know what? They distribute all the way up into LA. So what you need to do to get a new product, if you want a firm tofu to work with, you've got to go to your dairy manager at your grocery store and you have to ask him, would you please carry San Diego soy dairy tofu? Or would you carry a vacuum packed, dense, protein rich tofu? So what I'm going to show you right now is my favorite chicken method. I can take a block of tofu and turn it into chicken. And this is how I do it. Honestly, you guys, I've done this and made tacos and all kinds of things and people thought it was real chicken. So what I do is I divide and conquer. I take my tofu and I break it into pieces. Do you guys see how dense and thick this tofu is? It's fabulous. It's meaty. It's protein rich. It's got all the amino acids in it for good health. It's one of nature's perfect foods. So again, divide and conquer, just split it up. You know, sometimes people see tofu and it's in geometric shapes like cubes or triangles, and they say, oh, it's tofu. If you put it into an organic form like this, make it look like pulled chicken, sometimes it actually kind of tastes like chicken. Well, it actually does very much taste like chicken, and people can't tell the difference. I've heard them say, I thought that was chicken. So I tear it up with my hands into small pieces until you really can't tear it anymore. But the pieces are still kind of big. So what you do is you take a serrated edge knife and you cut through and just chop it coarsely so that you get a pulled chicken-like effect with the tofu. And the pieces are manageable and will fit easily into the tamale. So break it up with your hands. And then what happens is you get something that looks like kind of like pulled chicken in the end. So you got your chicken pieces and it's so easy from here. Let me scoot this over and I'm going to heat up a flat grill real quick to cook this stuff up. And this tofu is going to be seasoned lightly with a seasoning that I found at the meat counter. The best seasonings for tofu are actually found in your butcher's section. You got to go over there and look up on the top shelf where all the meats are and seafood, and go ahead and select some of those seasonings to just make your tofu taste like chicken. So this is one of my favorite brands. They're from LA. It's called Scott's Products. And oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I take this stuff and I turn tofu into chicken. I turn seitan into wheat meat, into carne asada. Oh my gosh, the lemon pepper is fabulous. I have more fun with the gourmet seasonings at my local grocery store. These products today came from Jensen's Foods, where I help them with a weekly vegan recipe. So I'm always testing new products and having fun exploring new ways to use the products that they have already. So we're going to keep this a little bit light. You can use this recipe again for any type of chicken application. I'm spraying it with just a little bit of avocado oil. I'm going to spray the grill, and I'm going to season it with my Santa Maria style seasoning. Like I said, these are made up in LA, super fine products. I love these Scott's products. As a matter of fact, I want to call them up and see if I can write a recipe collection, a vegan recipe collection, maybe that they can feature with their spices and herbs. Okay, so it's getting nice and hot, and I'm going to lightly brown this to give it a little bit of extra flavor before we put it into the tamales. So if I were doing a super homemade version of tamales, I would go all out and roast my peppers over a flame and blacken the skins and remove them and use the peppers fresh. And I would also make my sauces fresh. I love going to the Latino markets and getting all the supplies for this project. You can find year-round the corn husks, the masa, the chilies, and everything at markets like Northgate Market. Oh, it's so much fun to go explore the produce section and everything at Northgate Market. But this time of year during the holiday season, you can always find these on the end caps and in the international sections of your grocery stores. But I've got them started over here soaking a little earlier so that they're pliable. I also selected a white vegan cheese to go inside these tamales. And there's so many options out there right now with new cheeses coming out all the time. This one, I couldn't find a Jack cheese today, so I came up with a good standard creamy white cheese. This one is by Field Roast, and I love this one. It's great for grilled cheese sandwiches. I melt it and stir it into sauces and all kinds of stuff. And today we're going to use it inside of our tamales. I also took a shortcut, and I cheated because I'm working so hard right now. Normally, and after this little video segment later, I'm going to have a tamale making party, and I'm going to fire roast these guys and make lots of fabulous tamales. But today I'm cheating a little bit. You can also take a shortcut and get the canned green chilies to put in here as well. So we've got chicken, cheese, and chili tamales. And of course, there's so many other fillings and fun things you can do to make a tamale party. Just get your friends together, get lots of different fillings and some fun stuff going, make some sauces, and veganize it. All it takes is switching out that manteca de puerco for a neutral flavored oil. The avocado oil is what we're using today, but you can also use a refined coconut oil because that doesn't have so much flavor, a sunflower oil or a grapeseed oil, and then get your mise en place, get all of your veggies ready, your cheese ready, your vegan meats ready, and then get your corn husk soaked and start your rolling party. So as that warms up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and show you how the corn husks work. We've got the husks have been soaked, and they're shaped kind of like a triangle, okay? So what you can do is I'll show you the beginner version first of rolling, and that is you take the masa. I've got my masa on board, and I'm going to spread a little bit of masa on the inside of the wide end. See the wide end at the bottom? Spreading the wide end first. And I'm just going to make this a chili and cheese version right here, just to show you to get started. And we're going to just take a couple pieces of cheese, a piece of green chili. And what you want to do is you want to get some masa on top of it and make sort of like a pocket for it, okay? So you got masa spread on the husk. Then when you take the leaves and you fold it over, it actually helps to sort of mold it into shape. So as you can see, yep, it's molding into shape. Then I fold up the bottom, and then fold in the sides just like so. And then you can tie it at the top, like this. Let me get you a quick little tie off. And then this one is open on the top end. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit it down and steam it so that it's standing straight up. And I have two options for cooking your tamales. Right here we have the giant canning pot, which works great because look at this. Check it out. I've got my tamales in there and they are steaming away. I lined the steamer. Can you guys see that okay? I lined the steamer and then put the tamales in. And same thing with this. This takes an hour. If you're going to cook them this way, it takes about an hour. And you need to go back and check on the water time and again to make sure you don't overheat the water. This is a pressure cooker. This is a fun thing to have too, because it takes about a third of the time to make your tamales in a pressure cooker. And what you would do with this one is you would put a steamer basket in the bottom, then line the basket with the tamale leaves, then load up all of your tamales, put the lid on, and bring it up to full boil. What happens when you lock the lid on this, the pressure builds on the inside and it starts blowing some steam, and you'll see a knob up here that shows that it's under full pressure. Then once it reaches full pressure, what you can do is you cook it for about 20 minutes. And so in all, it takes about 10 minutes to get the pressure up, and then it takes about 20 minutes of cook time. So it really cuts the time in half. And you know what's really cool about pressure cookers? They also conserve energy. You know, you use less gas, you use less electricity because you're using the pressure from the cooker to get it done. Instapot too. I don't have an Instapot yet. Everybody teases me that I don't have an Instapot yet. But an Instapot is like a pressure cooker and will do the same thing. So here we go. I'm lightly browning my chicken. Can you guys see my little chicken pieces? They're so yummy. I've got vegan chicken and it's going right into the tamales. So let me get that set aside.
And to clarify for everyone, we are making tofu chicken. That's right. Vegan chicken. And I just want to say Chef Liz is very passionate about tofu, as we have seen today. She is also a food writer and founder of Vegan Culinary Memoirs, ePublishing. So exciting. All right, back to the tamales.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, you guys, I've been working on a tofu cookbook for a while, and it's coming, and it's going to be so fun. It's called Black Belt in Tofu, today's plant-based, protein-rich alternative to meat, seafood, eggs, and dairy. It's a chef's blank canvas. It is so mind-blowing and so fun. And when you know the tricks and what to shop for and which product to use, the possibilities are literally endless, infinite, fabulous. Why use animals to make milk and meat when you can take the soy, grow the soy, and turn it right into milk and meat? It's one of those, I should have had a V8 moments. Where did we go wrong? It's so funny because soy is one of the most abundant crops in the world, and yet We use the majority of it to feed animals to make milk and meat. When lo and behold, you can take that soy, grow it, and turn it straight into milk and meat, which I feel is so promising and exciting. I think every city should have a soy dairy. Just so much possibility, and it's so protein rich and nutritious. Okay, so again, I'm folding and tying and getting all of these things wrapped nicely. Now this is the bundle wrap. I'm going to show you the twisty wrap. That's an easy one because it's like a Tootsie Roll. Okay, so you just pile them on in there. With the kids, I've had vegan tamale making parties with elementary kids, with high school kids, with friends at a local church, at my public library. I mean, everybody loves to come together for tamale making, and you can do it any time of the year. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping that somebody's out there that wants to make tamales to sell, because we need to see more vegan tamales on the market. And what a great product. You see people selling regular tamales all the time. We got to get some more vegan ones out there. I'd like to see them at farmers markets. Maybe somebody is making vegan tamales already out there. I'd love to hear about it. So yes, or influence your local restaurant and ask them to start making some vegan options for you. That's kind of how change happens, is you get out there and you ask for it, and it's consumer driven, and then lo and behold, you find change. It happens. Change will happen. Okay, so here's another easy way. You can take it and you can roll it like a Tootsie Roll and tie it on both ends, just like so. Okay, tie a little bow on each end. I'll do that.
We have a couple of questions, and then I'm hoping that we'll get to see a final product. And then
yes, it's ready. I'm about there. Tell me, what are the questions? Anybody?
So the question is, so the idea is that you can either tie it on either side, or like you said at the top, like you did, like a little pocket. Can we see both of those up close? Oh my goodness, look at this. And you stuff it
and through. This, you guys, this isn't a hurry. This isn't really fancy or fun. Google tamale images and go for it. Make them awesome, make them pretty, make them fun. Wow your friends and family, and deliver them some vegan tamales.
Woo!
Yeah. Now, what else? Anybody else?
Yes. What do you serve with your tamales?
Oh, I would make sauce. You guys, if in a perfect world and I had all the time in the world, I'd have the blender going and I'd be making my green tomatillo sauce or my red chili sauce with dried chilies soaked in some water and roasted and everything. So I'm just using a green salsa, a nice quality tomatillo salsa to go on top of the tamales. And there you have it. So it's that easy. You can make tamales any time of the year, really. Just make it quick and easy if you want. Use the canned products. Buy your Masa. Oops, Helen, I got my special helper. Maybe we can get that open. And I'm going to plate. Okay, look at this, you guys. Check it out. Here's my tofu. Remember when I press this thing? Look at all the water in that. That's what you got to get a tofu press for, so that you can drain off all of that water. And you know, what happens is the tofu actually shrinks, and it's about half its size when you're done. Okay, so here we go. I would warm this up. Do you know what, in Tijuana, I loved it years ago. It's like, you don't just have chips and salsa for dinner. They give them to you for breakfast too. The only difference is they heat up the salsa. So they serve it warm. I loved it. So, okay, so it takes about an hour for your tamales to finish cooking. And when you do, you can unwrap it. It should feel a little bit firm, and it will peel off the sides of the husk when it's ready. So these might be just a shade short of being totally ready, but they're pulling off the sides. Check it out. I've got tamales, and you just put a little sauce on top. And ooh, I am so excited. Then garnish it with a little bit of cilantro, fresh cilantro, and enjoy. get a variety of sauces going too, because the more the merrier. So
Wow.
give them a whole hour to cook.
Incredible. A full hour to cook, everybody. We want to thank all of you viewers for watching with us here on Lunch Break Live. We're going to say goodbye now, and thank you so much, Liz. Are they good?
Oh my gosh, I wish you were here with me. Make some tamales for your family and friends, you guys. You're going to love this.
All right,
love it.
We'll see you next time. You'll find this printable recipe and thousands of others on our website, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Paige, so much. Thank you, Jane.